Hey, what's up guys, it's Dark Arm Duelist and today doing some hero test hands. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So this deck is an amazing combo deck, especially now that we have our copy of Elemental Hero Flame Wingman Infernal Rage, which helps us get to our copies of Favorite Contact, which is just amazing. I absolutely love this deck and have actually been carrying it to locals a lot recently because this deck has just been doing incredibly well in the meta and is just super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Heroes before, you should definitely give this deck a try, and if you guys would like to check out the deck profile for any test hand video, as always, it is down in the description down below. But this deck is really fun to be able to play and has some really amazing combos depending on what your opening hand is, which is just super cool. But usually you'll end with a copy of Favorite Contact, so you can go into Shining Neos Wingman during the opponent's turn, popping multiple cards and getting you a crazy powerful boss monster. But you guys know, it's dad rule number one that you have to pile shuffle the deck or you're going to brick. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck really quick and see what we can do for our first test hand, because this deck is amazing to be able to play and you can do some really cool combos with this particular build. So let's go ahead and give it a quick riffle and then see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and draw, and we're going to draw into a copy of Shadow Mist. Not too bad. A Hero Lives. We've got full combo with a Hero Lives, another copy of a Hero Lives, a copy of Dark Angel, and finally a copy of Vion. So this is actually an okay hand. You don't have a lot of combo pieces. You do have a good normal summon in hand, but we're going to be able to get to our plays anyways. Usually you want to open up like Fusion Destiny, but we can still do some pretty crazy plays with this hand. So what we're going to do is start off with a copy of a Hero Lives, and even if this gets ashed, we do have a second copy in our hand that we can go off with, which is really nice. So we're going to special summon out our copy of Elemental Hero Stratos. Now what I usually search if I don't have my copy of Ferris is I usually go ahead and grab Ferris. All three of those are just stuck together even though we pile shuffle. We're going to go ahead and grab a copy of Ferris directly from our deck to our hand, which is going to help us out a lot to instantly get Ferris, because it doesn't even waste our normal summon, and we have not wasted our normal summon yet, because this was summoned off of a Hero Lives. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and use our copy of Ferris, and this is why I like opening up with Shadow Mist, because you're actually going to get both effects of Ferris and Shadow Mist, which is just really nice. So this will go to the graveyard, and this will special summon itself to your side of the field, putting a copy of our Vion, or not a Vion, an Increase on our side of the field as a continuous trap card, and your copy of Shadow Mist will go off to search a hero from deck to hand, which is really, really nice. So let's go ahead and grab that hero from deck to hand as well. Usually I just go ahead and grab a copy of, say, like a Stratos to go ahead and use my normal summon, or you can grab a copy of your, where is it? You can grab a copy of Liquid Soldier here. There's ways to get to other plays in here, which is why I usually just go ahead and grab an additional normal summon, because we're not going to want to normal summon that copy of Vion, because we're going to get a Vion effect already, and you can only use effective in once per turn anyways, and we only have one poly to search in this build, so we really don't need the extra copy of Vion. So at this point, we can go ahead and normal summon the other Stratos to our side of the field, and then search out an additional combo piece, which is going to be our copy of our Liquid Soldier, because you need Liquid Soldier to go in for your copy of Infernal Rage, so you can get another hero monster with a different attribute. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and tribute our copy of Ferris to special summon our Increase to our side of the field. Then our copy of Increase will go off and special summon our last copy of Vion from our deck. That's why I love to play these at 2 each. 2 Increase, 2 Vion, just in case you draw them in your opening hand, it doesn't turn your entire engine off. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Vion to be able to send a hero monster from our extract to the graveyard. You pretty much play it with your, like, the entire, like, deck is basically your hand once you start going, which is really cool. So we're going to send our copy of Malicious to the graveyard, and once we do, we're going to go ahead and banish from our graveyard a copy of Shadow Mist, to be able to search from the deck a copy of Polymerization, which is right here at the top. The reason I'm not shuffling is because I'm going to be going in a bunch, because heroes just keep going into the deck over and over again. So we've used both effects of our Vion, which is really cool. So at this point, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and special summon to my side of the field a copy of Malicious by banishing Malicious from the graveyard, which is just going to help out a lot just to get our copy of Malicious out of the deck. so we can go in for a copy of Cross Crusader to search an additional hero monster from deck to hand. Now, really cool tech in this deck is actually your copy of Infernal Devicer, which can search out your copy of Neos, which is really cool, but I usually like to go for Cross Crusader first, because we're going to link away. You have to make sure you have a Destiny hero in the graveyard, because you need a Destiny hero for this effect. So we're going to link a copy of Malicious and one of our 2 Stratoses away to summon out our copy of Cross Crusader, and use Cross Crusader's ability to revive back our copy of Malicious back to our side of the field, which is really cool to be able to do, because then you basically just tribute it and then search a hero from deck to hand, which I'm going to grab a different hero. I might grab a copy of Plasma instead this time, because we've already used our copy of Ferris. We don't really need Denier, and we've already used other plays, so I'm probably just going to grab a copy of Plasma just for more plays later on, especially since we have Dark Angel in hand already. You don't really need anything else. So at this point, you can go ahead and link summon again if you want to link summon again to go in for like a Wonder Driver or your copy of Infernal Devicer, which I'm just going to use a copy of a hero monster, these 2 hero monsters, because your copy of Infernal Devicer does require 2 hero monsters to go into this card, which is really cool just to instantly go in for your copy of Devicer. Now, the really cool thing about this card is that you can just reveal your Shining Neos Wingman in the extract, and since it lists Neos as a material, you can grab it from deck to hand, which is really amazing. I love that about this card, and it just helps out. Like, this is our hand now. Like, that's crazy that we went from like 5 cards in opening to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in hand, and then we have 3 cards on field. That's just insanely good. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and activate the Polymerization, fusing away our copy of our Elemental Hero Neos and Liquid Soldier. I usually like to send the copy of Liquid Soldier, because you're going to get more value off of getting Liquid Soldier in the graveyard. So at this point, I'm going to summon out the copy of Infernal Rage. Again, you're probably going to want to summon the majority of your stuff in defense position. And at this point, you're going to use the effect of Infernal Rage to be able to search your deck for a favorite card. And since we used a copy of an original, like, normal hero monster to make it, it has a bonus effect to let us tag it out for an additional hero card, which is really cool. Now, you can activate the effect of Liquid Soldier here, but I like to wait and use Liquid Soldier's effect when I banish it for Miracle Fusion, so I have less bricks in the deck. So I'm not going to draw into this, and I'm not going to draw into a copy of Miracle Fusion either, which is really cool to be able to do, to just not draw into that, because then you can dig for like Fusion Destinies and stuff like that, which we may hit. Then I'm going to go ahead and link these 2 away. And once we link these 2 away, we're going to summon out our copy of Wonder Driver, which is going to help out a lot just to get our copy of Wonder Driver on the field, because now we can recycle one of our fusion spells, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and tag this out. And once we do tag this out, it's going to let us summon our copy of Sunrise in defense position. We're going to go 1 and 2, and our copy of our Wonder Driver will go off and reset our copy of Polymerization, which is just really nice to be able to get that back on our side of the field, just to put it back. So at this point, now you have the effect of the Sunrise to grab your copy of your Miracle Fusion from your deck to your hand. And once we grab our copy of Miracle Fusion from our deck to our hand, we're actually going to be able to activate it to be able to go in for more plays, which is just really nice. We're getting close to the end of the combo, which is really cool. So we're going to use the effect of Miracle Fusion to be able to fusion summon using our copy of Liquid Soldier, and you can use one of your Stratoses in the graveyard to be able to make a really awesome play. Now keep in mind, you did use Liquid Soldier as a material, so when you use that copy of Liquid Soldier, you will get to draw 2 and then discard a card, which is really cool to be able to just use that ability, because we don't need the Vion in our hand anymore, so we can just discard that to the graveyard. So now we're going to shuffle up the deck and hopefully hit a Fusion Destiny, because if we hit Fusion Destiny here, we're going to be able to go in for a Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which is just going to be super helpful, which is really, really good. So at this point, you will get to draw 2 and then discard a card. So we're going to draw 2 off the top of the deck, and we're going to hit a E-Call and a copy of Mass Change, which is going to get us a Dark Law instead, which is still pretty good. So what we're going to discard is, I'm actually going to discard the copy of Vion, which is not that big of a deal to discard Vion. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate the E-Call to dig for our last hero that we need in the deck. You don't really need this hero, but you can grab it just in case. I'm going to grab my last copy of Stratos, which is why I really like playing 3 copies of Stratos in the deck, because it always gives you a normal summon for later. So we've actually gone through all 3 Stratoses, summoning 2 of them and having 1 of them in the hand, which is really cool. And then at this point, you basically can link summon if you want to, but I'm actually just going to leave it just like this, because the Wonder Driver on the field is fine, it's not that big of a deal to leave it on the field because you're going to have more plays later on. Plus, you can board wipe your opponent since we have the copy of Mass Change, which is just really cool. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and pass the opponent. We have 2 disruptions on our side of the field, which is really cool. Because what you can actually do with this play is you can flip your copy of Favorite Contact once your opponent puts anything on the field and shuffle back your copy of your Wingman. Now remember, this is during your opponent's turn. You can use your copy of Neos and your copy of your Infernal Rage, putting these both back, which is really cool to just put both of these back into the deck and summon out your copy of Shining Neos Wingman. Now, Shining Neos Wingman gains 300 attack points for every hero monster in your graveyard, every monster in your grave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 3 is 21. So he goes up to 5,200 on summon, which is really amazing. If your opponent continues to play around you and continues to try and play, you can flip your copy of, say, your copy of Mass Change. And Mass Change will turn your copy of your Absolute Zero into a copy of Acid, which is amazing to be able to do. Plus your copy of your Shining Neos Wingman will go by an additional 500. Then you can make your copy of Acid. Both of these will go off and destroy all monsters and all spells and traps that they control, which is just really cool to be able to board wipe, because then on the follow-up turn, you're going to win. So we're going to draw into a copy of Fusion Destiny. At this point, you probably already won, but we're going to drop the copy of Fusion Destiny to be able to go in for our really pretty Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So we're going to put a copy of Denier into it. And I'll just put the copy of the Malicious, or not the Malicious, but the Plasma and the Hand into it. And once we do, we can summon out our copy of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So we have both of our boss monsters that we want on our side of the field, which is just amazing to be able to do. You can also drop Polymerization if you want to step into another play like Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, which would help out a little bit. You didn't get the Dark Angel play because you don't have your copy of Fusion Destiny. It's a little harder to get this to go off, but it's okay because you really want this to go off in game 2 if you go first, because you can side in cards like Rivalry of Warlords to make sure that your opponent can't summon. So don't prioritize this card all that often, but it's still really good. But you can drop your copy of Polymerization, which is going to help you step into your copy of Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, which has the ability that it just takes a hero fusion monster, so you can use your copy of your Sunrise to go into it, which is going to be pretty helpful. Plus any of the heroes that you don't need, like your copy of Vion, your copy of Dark Angel, and your copy of Stratos if you want to. But at this point, you pretty much got game because these 2 monsters on their own are huge. You just switch everything to attack position and go in for game. But that's pretty much a hero test hand. But I'm going to show you guys another one just to show you how consistent this deck is. It's probably going to end on close to the same field because you always want to end with Favorite Contact set so you can go into this card, because it's very important to be able to disrupt your opponent for that play. But when we use that copy of Liquid Soldier to be able to draw, you could have hit Fusion Destiny and gone into your copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer a little earlier. And if you put everything in defense position and you give your opponent the copy of Dark Angel, it makes it very easy to be able to lock down your opponent so that they have, like, say, a copy of Rivalry set if you've had that card in the deck. You can basically just lock down your opponent with that card, which is really cool, so they can't activate spells. And if you summon everything in defense position, they'll have no way of outing it outside of linking it away. And if they're not playing link monsters, they can't out it, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for another test hand. Something else you could have done as well is when you had the Vion here, you could have turned it into a Dark Law depending on your matchup. Instead of destroying all their spells and traps and monsters, you could have just turned it into a Dark Law and locked them down here instead with the Dark Law, which was why I didn't tribute out the copy of Plasma. You can, if you want to, just end on Plasma, because a lot of decks just like buckle under that, which is kind of cool. But if you just go for the play that I showed you guys, you can destroy the entire field and just get additional like disruptions for the other plays. Because when they end their turn, you flip the copy of Mass Change, destroy all their monsters and their spells and traps, which is really cool, and use Favorite Contact as a disruption mid-turn to be able to just deal with their field, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck really quick and see what we can do for our next test hand. So we're going to go ahead and draw. And we're going to draw into a copy of Mass Change right off the bat. Miracle Fusion, you never want to open this. Fusion Destiny, a copy of Ash Blossom. This isn't going to be a crazy hand right off the bat unless we draw like a Stratos, or a copy of a Here Lives or an E-Call, and we're going to hit a Stratos. Okay, So this, like, the entire play is turned on. This is why we had to have this card back when it was at 0, and it's why I love that this card is at 3, because it just helps out so much for this deck to be able to start your plays. You don't have a hero monster you can discard, which is a little bit of a shame for your copy of Ferris, but we can still go into some plays. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and normal summon out our copy of Stratos, and once you normal summon out that copy of Stratos, you're going to be able to search out a hero monster from your deck to your hand, which is going to be very important to be able to get to a hero monster that you might need. Now, we can't special summon out our copy of Ferris because you specifically have to discard a hero monster for it, but you can go ahead if you want to and search it so that on the follow-up turn, you can go in for more plays, but we're still going to be able to make a pretty decent board right off the bat, because Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer on its own is pretty good. It's not going to be crazy, but it's going to be pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and summon out our copy of Stratos, search our copy of Ferris, shuffle the deck, and once we do, we can go ahead and drop our copy of Fusion Destiny, and I do have some really cool plays you can pull off with this hand, so let's go ahead and show that all. So we're going to send our copy of Denier and a copy of our Malicious to the graveyard, and once we do, that's going to be the best 2 targets to be able to send. We're going to go ahead and summon out our Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Now keep in mind, we're locked into Dark Heroes for the rest of the turn. Now I usually summon this guy in Defense Solution, which is pretty important to be able to summon him in defense, and at this point I'm going to go ahead and banish the copy of Malicious to be able to summon an additional copy of Malicious so we don't draw into it. See, even with the bad opening hands, you still get a pretty good hand, which is really good because you have the copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which basically just carries this entire hand. So at this point, we are locked into Dark Hero monsters because of Fusion Destiny, because it says for the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special monsters except Dark Hero monsters, which is not that big of a deal because I actually have a really cool play to make this card still live. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link these 2 away, and since our copy of Cross Crusader is dark, we can summon it to our side of the field, which is really cool. So then our effect of our Cross Crusader will go off, and we'll special summon back the copy of Malicious to our side of the field. And the really nice thing is you can go ahead and then just tribute this card to get a search of a hero monster from your deck to your hand, which is really nice just to go ahead and get a search, because we're going to search out a copy of Shadow Mist. You kind of got to start freestyling with the deck once you get into a weird position like this, because it's very important to be able to continue playing. And I can actually Dark Angel the opponent, because what you can do with this hand is if you did add Dark Angel to your hand, you could go ahead and use the effect of your Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer on your side of the field, pop this, discard this, during next standby phase this would revive, and your opponent would have this on their side of the field if you wanted to do it that way, because this would be in the grave. This would pop itself because it would pop both cards, and then you could just go ahead and give them that copy of Dark Angel, which is kind of cool to be able to do. I like that. And that's basically how you do it when you have Fusion Destiny. You send the 2 to the graveyard, use this to pop something, and then you just give this to your opponent, which is kind of cool so they can't activate spells, and it puts them in a really weird spot, which is really kind of cool. So at this point, we're just going to search any hero monster we want, which I'm actually going to grab a copy of Shadow Mist. We may end with Dark Angel. We may actually end with it before we get done, which is going to be really cool if we do. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Ferris to special summon itself by discarding a hero, and we're going to use both effects to be able to search a hero and put a copy of our Increase on our side of the field. We're just kind of getting set up at this point, and I'm going to grab a copy of Dark Angel, because we're going to set up that copy of Dark Angel against the opponent. Now, keep in mind, you want to summon everything in defense position so they don't have anything to attack into, which is just really going to help you out a lot. Then at this point, you're going to use the effect of Increase to be able to special summon itself to your side of the field. Use your copy of Increase to special summon Vion, and Vion will also go into defense position. And then your copy of Vion will go off, sending an additional hero from your deck to the graveyard, which is just going to help out a little bit more to be able to get any hero you want from your deck to the grave. You can't activate the effect of your other hero monsters, which is a little bit of a shame, but it's okay. Because, like, you already used your copy of Shadow Mist effect, which is once per turn, and you've already used the effect of your Malicious, which is why, again, I feel like it's a little bit bad, but you had to go this route to be able to get those plays off. But that's totally fine, because we can still go into plays on the follow-up turn. We're just going to send a copy of, say, Liquid Soldier to the graveyard to be able to set up for Miracle Fusion during the follow-up turn. And then at this point, you can use the effect of the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which is going to be really nice. But you also have the Vion that you can use to be able to banish a hero monster from the grave. So we're going to banish a copy of Ferris, because you really don't need Ferris in the graveyard anymore. And this is going to let us grab from our deck to our hand a copy of Polymerization. Once you grab that Polymerization, you can go ahead and use the copy of the Destiny or Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, because it has the ability that you can actually use the effect to be able to quick effect destroy both one card you control and one card on the field. So we're going to destroy itself and a copy of the Cross Crusader, because you want all your attack position monsters off the field. So we're going to destroy both of them. Effective Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer to revive itself during the next turn. And at this point, we have 3 Destiny heroes in the graveyard. So you can actually use the effect of Dark Angel to give this card to your opponent. And then now they can't activate spells as long as it's on your other side of the field, which is very important. We then also have the copy of Mass Change that we can set to turn into a Dark Law, which is just going to be really good. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and pass to the opponent. During standby phase, you can go ahead and flip this and turn this into a Dark Law, which is going to be very helpful to turn it into a copy of Dark Law on your side of the field, because it's just going to give you another monster. And during standby phase, your copy of your Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer does come back to the field. If they attempt to summon any monster to go into a Link 2, you can use the effect of this to pop whatever they normal summon, because the majority of the time in a lot of decks right now, they're using a lot of spell cards to be able to get into their plays. So you can use this and pop their normal summon and pop this card to get it off the field. They'll just come back next standby phase, which is fine. So you're going to just pop that card, and then you have more plays to go into next turn because you already have the copy of Dark Law. They usually can't out this. And we're going to draw for turn, which I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck really quick just to show you guys it's completely random. So we're going to shuffle up the deck, and we're going to go ahead and draw during our follow-up turn a copy of Ash Blossom, which is really not great, but we can still play it, and probably OTK. So we're going to go ahead, and at this point, you can go in for some really cool plays because you have the copy of Miracle Fusion. Miracle Fusion can actually banish cards from the graveyard, which we're going to banish a copy of Liquid Soldier and Shadow Mist from the grave to step into a copy of Sunrise, just because we're looking for damage on board, which is just going to help us out a lot. You can reset cards if you want to, but I'm just going to go ahead and go in for that play because I want to keep the copy of Dark Law on the field, which is totally fine. And we're going to summon out our copy of Sunrise, an attack position. Then the copy of Liquid Soldier will go off, and we'll draw 2 and then discard a card, which is going to help us out a lot to be able to draw 2 and discard something. And we're actually going to hit a copy of Neos, which is kind of good that we actually hit Neos because we can turn it into an Infernal Rage if we need to. And if they try and hand trap us, we have triple tactical talent. So we're just going to discard an Ash from hand. So we really don't need that card at all anymore. And at this point, you can use your Polymerization if you want to go into your copy of your Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. You can step into this card if you want to use Sunriser, but I wouldn't because it's going to not get you the greatest play. But we can also link summon if we want to, the copy of Vion or the copy of Dark Law away, because we do have all of those hero monsters in the grave. And we can even do this if you guys want to. You can bring back your copy of Denier to your side of the field, which is really cool, by putting your copy of your Banished Malicious back on top of the deck, which is going to help you out a lot, because then you're going to get more link summons and more damage on board. Then you can link these 2 away, and once you do, we're going to make a copy of our Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader will go off, and again, we're just looking for damage on board. We're going to go ahead and put a copy of our Malicious on board. We're going to tribute the copy of Malicious to get a search of a hero monster from our deck to our hand, which I'm going to search Shadow Mist from deck to hand, drop that copy of Poly, activate it right there, go in for your copy of Infernal Rage, which is going to be really good to go in for Infernal Rage, because Infernal Rage will then activate and grab you from your deck to your hand your copy of your trap card, which is going to be super good to just go ahead and get it for follow-up, just in case your opponent tries to do anything against you. And at this point, you can just go ahead and swing. This will get destroyed by the Sunriser, and then you just go in for game, which is really cool. You still had game on board, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and do one more quick test hand. That was not a great hand, but we made it a great hand, which is what's really cool. There's so many ways to play heroes and just go in for plays, but you got to see it, and you got to be experienced enough with heroes to be able to go into those plays. And I've been playing heroes ever since like they came out with the original vanilla ones, which is why I can pull off all these cool plays just to show you guys. But that's something that as you like play this deck, there is a clear combo line. There is a clear combo line that I showed you guys in the first hand that you want to go for now to be able to get to those plays and get to that line. But I'm really glad that we got that second hand just to show you guys the weird combo lines that you have to go in order to get your plays rolling. Because in that opening hand, we had Stratos. That was it. That was all you had was Stratos and nothing else. And then we made it work. So let's go ahead and cut the deck really quick and see what we can do for our first hand, for our actually third hand. And we're going to go ahead and draw into a Call by the Grave, Miracle Fusion, again, Ash Blossom, a copy of Mass Change. And if we don't draw anything here, that is going to be the entire hand. And we're going to draw into a triple Tactical Talent. So this is a total brick. Just to show you guys, even with an extremely powerful deck like this, you can still brick. And that's why it's important to pile shuffle every single time, because you need to make sure that you can go in for your plays. And it does happen. You play a couple of bricks in this deck, and that's going to happen as you play this deck. So let's go ahead and give it one more try without pile shuffling, and just see if we can get something insane. So what we're going to do is draw, and we're going to draw into a copy of Malicious, a copy of Denier, a copy of Shadow Mist, our copy of Fusion Destiny, and a copy of Increase. So in this hand, you open up 4 of your bricks, which is a little bit of a shame, but you can activate Fusion Destiny and still go off, which is what's really cool. Because you can use your copy in your hand of your Malicious and another hero monster in the deck, which is going to be super helpful to be able to use a different hero monster in your hand or your deck, which we're just going to use, say, the Plasma in the deck and make Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, and you have really good plays right there, because then you can link climb still, because we can normal summon the Shadow Mist and climb into a copy of Cross Crusader. So at this point, what we're going to do is special summon out the copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, and then we're going to banish from our graveyard the copy of Malicious. The copy of Malicious will go off, and we'll get to special summon out our copy of, when I can find it, there it is, our copy of Malicious. And once you get that copy of Malicious on the field, we can then normal summon the copy of Shadow Mist, link these two away, summon out Cross Crusader, bring this, actually the effect of Shadow Mist will go off before we get too far. We'll use the effect to grab a copy of Ferris, which is just going to help us out a lot to be able to grab that card. I love that about this card, that this card can grab any hero monster you want from your deck to your hand. We're then going to use the effect of Cross Crusader to be able to special summon back the copy of the Malicious, tribute the Malicious, to be able to search an additional hero monster from the deck, which I always like to grab from my deck to my hand, a copy of Liquid Soldier, just so we can go in for more plays, which is really nice. I love that about this deck, that there's just so many combos that you can pull off. We're then going to use the effect, discard the copy of the Denier to be able to summon the copy of Ferris. The copy of Ferris will go off. We summon Increase, tribute Ferris to summon itself out to your side of the field. We can then use the effect of Ferris to be able to special summon out, or not Ferris, but Increase, summon out Vion. Vion will then go off and send from our deck to the graveyard our copy of, where is it? Our copy of Neos. I'm going to send Neos this time, just because I don't want to link climb into the copy. Well, you can summon Infernal Ray, or Infernal Devicer if you want to. Let's go and put that back into the deck, and we'll actually link summon into that, so we can grab it. Let's go ahead and send something else. So let's go ahead and send, say, I don't know. Let's go ahead and send... Doesn't super matter what you send at this point, as long as you have like a bunch of heroes in the graveyard, it's totally fine, because we have the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which is still getting a boss monster on the field. Let's go ahead and just send, say, we already have the copy of Liquid Soldier in the hand. Let's get a different name. Let's go ahead and send a Stratos. I know that's kind of weird, but we do want a different name in the grave, which is why we did that. That's pretty important to get a different name in the grave. So let's go ahead and shuffle it up and go ahead and see what else we can do. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and link these two away. And we're going to summon out the copy of the Infernal Devicer, reveal the copy of the Shiny Neos Wingman in the hand, and then we're going to grab the copy of the Neos, use the effect of Vion to banish a hero from the grave, which I'm going to just banish the Ferris, and we're going to use the effect to be able to add a Polymerization from deck to hand. We won't get to use it, but we're set up for Infernal Rage on the next turn, because we are locked into Dark Heroes, which again is totally fine. You could have grabbed your copy of Dark Angel instead, because you do have 3 names engraved to be able to give to your opponent if you wanted to go that route, but I wanted to set up for next turn for this, which is just really, really good. You can use this to pop cards on the field, which is really cool if you wanted to. Instead of grabbing this off the other effect, you could grab your copy of, where is it? Your copy of Dark Angel, and then give this to your opponent like we did to begin with, which is really, really neat. So I think that's going to do it for this test hand, guys. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Heroes before, you should definitely give this build a try, because it's really fun to be able to do. As you guys can see, even with the not crazy hands, you still get some really cool plays, but the majority of the time you are getting, because you're pile shuffling every time, you are getting those really cool opening hands, because if you open up like Ferris and Stratos, you've got full combo, which is just really, really cool. And I love that about this deck, that there's so many cool plays that you can pull off with this build. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely check out the deck profile down in the description down below. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.